at least two times when you want to analyze a company's website. The first is when you're applying to the company so you can customize your cover letter and resume to the position. The second, and when most job seekers finally do some research, is when you've been invited to a job interview. You certainly want to showcase your knowledge of the company at that time. Employers expect you to know about their organization and industry. Chances are high that they will ask you questions designed to test you. For example, you could be asked one or more of the questions shown here, all of which require knowledge of the company. Here are several ways to research a company in anticipation of an interview. The best way to convince your interviewer that you know the company well is to be able to articulate what differentiates it from its competitors. Companies will often tell you the answer to this question right on their websites. One way companies share how they stand out is through their mission statement. You can usually find the mission statement in the About Us section. Read closely to learn how the organization positions itself. Look for what makes the company unique in their industry. Here, for example, is the mission statement of the United Health Group, an organization you will hear more about later in this course. You might notice that the company has formulated a social responsibility policy and focuses on collaborative relationships with patients, physicians, and healthcare providers. If the company's management has put time and money into developing these policies, they have value to the organization. You should be able to start to get a sense for the company's values from its mission statement. Some companies also elaborate their values. This company, and United Health is a Fortune 500 organization, is one that has published its organizational values online. Here you see an abbreviated list of United Health Group's values. Under each value on the full list on the website is a belief statement related to that value, along with indications of how that value should manifest in action. These are the ideals the company strives to uphold. You should be familiar with them prior to an interview. You should ensure that your personal values align with these, because a good interviewer will ask you appropriate questions to sniff out your values in action. Remember what you learned in Course 1. Interviewers are unlikely to ask you directly about personal values. Rather, they will search for stories that reveal those values in action. If your values do not align with those of the organization you're interviewing with, you won't get the job. While you're on the website, click on Investor Relations. For most large companies, you should be able to access and listen to a publicly available quarterly earnings conference call and read an annual report. These calls and reports cover a range of topics, including new products, company risks, and whether revenues are growing or stable. If you're interviewing with a startup, check out its profile on Crunchbase. Here you can find information about rounds of funding, acquisitions, recent hires, as well as relevant press coverage. Once you've scoped the company's financials, it's up to you to draw your own conclusions. Being able to speak with insight and from facts about where you think the company is going in the future will mark you as an outstanding candidate. Of course, you've read the news that comes up when you search for the company online, and you've taken a look at the company page on LinkedIn to see what kind of updates are featured, right? Now, aside from these obvious sources, corporate blogs, especially for newer companies, provide a wealth of information, whether it's a post welcoming new staffers or an announcement about new product features. The more up-to-date you are, the more it will seem to the interviewer as if you're already part of the team. The information you pick up here will also give you topics to bring up in conversation. Having this kind of topic at hand is part of the art of small talk that you'll learn about in the next module. While you're on LinkedIn, check out the profiles of the people you'll be interviewing with. Make sure you have your profile set so that they can see that you viewed their profiles. This is good news to them. You're not spying, you're showing you care and are doing your due diligence before the interview. Check out the company's social media profiles. Get a feel for the tone of their postings. Is it professional or casual? Is it non-stop promotion? What impression do you get? That should help give you a feel for the company's culture. But if you really want to gain insight into the company's culture, take a look at the company profiles on the Muse. There you can watch interviews with current employees and hear what makes each workplace so different. Or see what positive and negative things people have to say about the company you're interviewing with on Glassdoor or Vault. You saw those sites in the last lesson. You can also go to Quora.com and ask a question about working in the target company. Searching on "What's it like to work?" will bring up a host of questions, from McKinsey to LinkedIn to Dropbox, as shown here. The answers are typically provided by a past or current employee and can be revealing. Aside from knowing as much as possible about the place you're interviewing with, it's a good idea to be able to talk about the industry as a whole, and even more impressive, to be able to talk about competitors and how the company fits into the bigger picture. The last lesson introduced you to a number of websites you can use for this purpose. You can also use Yahoo or Google Finance to find competitors. Sometimes the information you'll find on a company's website is limited. While the trend is certainly for companies to place more and more information on their sites, private companies, those are companies not traded on a stock exchange, tend to have less need to provide sensitive information. In these situations, the best solution is to read outside reviews and profiles of companies. The resources you learned about in the last lesson should help you here. After you've done your research, you should know whether or not you want to work at the company. If the answer is no, well, you can always use the interview for practice. But if the answer is yes, you should be able to back it up by being able to talk about what makes that company unique. You should be able to express your enthusiasm for the company based on solid information. It annoys hiring managers no end when a candidate fails to do research in the prospective company. In the same vein, if you're one who does the research, it will help you separate yourself from the competition. If the hiring manager feels you're already part of the team, that makes it all the easier to make you an offer. And after all, that's your goal.